Hello, everyone. My name is Liu Yang Che, and today we are going to discuss Does Game Theory Explains Why You Should Wear a Mask? So here are some backgrounds. Due to the COVID-19 pandemics, the world has been arguing whether we should wear a mask or not in the public areas. So some group of people think that wearing a mask is not beneficial to themselves. So this is no longer a battle against the virus itself, but against the uncooperative of the society. So it is very important for us to study whether we should wear a mask during this time. Regardless of the political and medical perspective, we study this problem with an easier but effective approach of game theory. So let's introduce the game, the mask game. We have two players, player A and player B. Each player can choose to wear a mask or not. So the strategy is to choose to wear a mask or choose to not wear a mask. And when a player is wearing a mask, it can cause discomfort. So this will be unhappy, and the happiness due to wearing a mask is defined by -2. So since it's unhappy, so the happiness is negative. And in this case, it's -2. And when player is being protected from the virus, it's a great benefit for the player. So the player will be very happy. And this happiness of being protected from the virus is defined as 10. So the happiness of being protected is larger than the happiness of wearing a mask, simply because it's much more beneficial for the players when they are being protected from the virus. So we have an important assumption is that the mask only protects the people around the wearer instead of protecting the wearer itself. So this assumption, we are not going to discuss it. We are not going to talk about it. We are going to just take this statement and assume that this is true. Some research has been done on this topic, but we are not going to talk about that today. So let's see our possible outcomes. For outcome A, both players are discomfort and protected from virus. This basically means that both players are wearing a mask. And for outcome B and C, it's saying that one player is not wearing a mask and another player is wearing a mask. So the one that's not wearing a mask is not discomfort but protected from the virus. And the player that is wearing a mask is discomfort but not protected from the virus. And the last outcome D is saying that both players are not wearing a mask, so they are not discomfort, but they are not protected from the virus as well. So we define the payoff functions. So for pair A, the payoff for the A is 10 minus 2. 10 is the happiness of being protected from the virus, and -2 is just the happiness of wearing a mask. In this case, it's negative because wearing a mask is unhappy. So 10 minus 2 is 8. That's for payoff for outcome A. And for outcome for B is -2. And for the payoff of outcome C is 10. For the payoff for outcome D is 0. And we define the same thing for player B. So this is our outcome matrix. So A, B, C, D is the possible outcomes that we mentioned before. And we can substitute the payoff that we defined to the matrix and produce a payoff matrix. So this is our payoff matrix. So now we can check there is a dominating strategies. So we start from player B. So for player B, if a player A chooses to wear a mask, then player B will choose not to wear a mask since payoff for B is greater than payoff of A. So it's clear to see that, see from the payoff matrix. Okay, so 10 is greater than 8. And if the player A chooses not to wear a mask, the player B will choose not to wear a mask also. since the payoff for D is greater than payoff of C. So 0 is greater than -2. That's obviously true. And we can conclude that for player B, choosing not to wear a mask is always better than choosing to wear a mask. Hence, not wearing a mask is a dominating strategy for player B. Now, we can do the same thing for player A and do the same calculations and comparison. So we can find out that, also conclude that not wearing a mask is a dominating strategy for player A. Now, we have both players having the same dominating strategy, which is not to wear a mask. So they will both choose not to wear a mask and gets the payoff of 0-0. So both players are not discomfort and not protected from the virus. So this strategy is also the only pure Nash equilibrium in the game, since no player will regret. And since the strategy is a dominating strategy, we don't need and we cannot find and mix Nash equilibrium from the game. This is obviously true because dominating strategy means that the players will choose the dominating strategy for a probability of 100%. So no matter what, they will choose the dominating strategy. So we cannot and we don't need to find and mix Nash equilibrium for the game. Next, we can conclude that the model showed both players won't wear a mask and when meeting each other, meeting with each other. Although it provides a better common goods for the society, so it's like a prisoner dilemma. Is there any difference from the prisoner's dilemma? Yes. Prisoners are locked up in separate cells, so they cannot communicate with each other. They cannot discuss which strategy is better for both of them. But for normal people like us, we are not in jail, so we can communicate with each other and discuss whether to wear a mask or not and which strategy will produce a better outcome for both of the players. So now we need to think that, is this model realistic? Although people can communicate with each other and ask them to wear a mask during a meeting, but this only happens if you know the people that you are playing together with, in like your friends, your family, or your colleagues, like that. But we don't meet a single person during the day. We will meet a lot of person. We will meet a lot of people during the day. So when meeting each person, when meeting with each person, it will produce a separate game. So meeting strangers on the street, cafeteria, and etc., we cannot cooperate with each other since we don't know that the player. So we cannot communicate with the player, and we don't know what they will choose. So we can use game theory to predict that the other player will choose not to wear a mask. Hence, we need to choose not to wear a mask as well. Because if we choose to wear a mask, we are not protected, but we are suffering from the discomfort of the wearing a mask, which is -2. So we don't want that. We will choose to not wear a mask as well. So this model is quite realistic when talking about larger groups of strangers in a country, because each player doesn't know each other, so they cannot communicate with themselves with each other. So they will both choose to not wear a mask. So in the real life, we can see that some countries, they have people, not just a small group of people, but a large group of people, mostly strangers, on the streets or in the cafeteria. They are not wearing a mask because they cannot communicate with each other. So they cannot discuss about which strategy is better for the common, like the both players. In this case, the common goods is for the society. So the final thought, game theory shows that given the assumption of people are selfish, they will choose not to wear a mask when going out or meeting with each other. Meeting with another person. So this is not good for the society, just like the prisoner's dilemma. Luckily, we are not prisoners, and we can cooperate with each other and produce a better outcome. So final statement is that we should wear a mask whenever we go, just for the greater good of the society. So don't be selfish, everyone. Thank you.